Anytime I knew Big was being threatened, Big was joking. Yeah, for real? Wow. Yeah, taking it like that.
From viral photos that shut down the internet to hacked news reports, Biggie has been caught on camera more times after his death than most artists are while alive. Today, we break down 10 moments that kept the world convinced that the King of New York never really left. The 2017 bachelor party photo phenomenon. Our first stop on this journey takes us to what became perhaps the single most viral Biggie is alive moment in internet history, the infamous bachelor party photograph that absolutely dominated social media in early 2017, nearly 20 years after Biggie's death. In February of 2017, a photograph began circulating wildly across the internet, showing a heavy-set black man at what appeared to be a festive celebration, surrounded by partygoers, seemingly enjoying life to the fullest. The resemblance to Biggie was, by many accounts, absolutely uncanny. The man's build, his facial features, even the way he carried himself, all of it triggered something in the collective consciousness of hip-hop fans worldwide. The photograph was initially posted by Nas Kitojo on Instagram, and the accompanying caption only fueled the fire. The words, "Biggie is alive," sent the internet into an absolute frenzy. Fans began dissecting every single pixel of that image, searching for proof that the King of New York had somehow managed to escape his own murder and was now living freely somewhere in the world. The location was initially misreported as Crete, Greece, adding an exotic international flavor to the already tantalizing narrative. Some theorists immediately connected this to similar Tupac survival rumors, suggesting perhaps both rappers had escaped together to live in peaceful anonymity far from American soil. But here's the truth that eventually emerged, and it serves as a perfect example of how quickly misinformation can spread in our modern digital age. The man in the photograph was actually identified as Jordan Anderson, a UK student who bore a striking resemblance to the late rapper. The location wasn't Crete at all. It was actually Brighton, England. Anderson himself came forward to confirm his identity and dismiss any comparisons to the hip-hop legend. Yet even after this debunking, the photograph continued to circulate. That's the thing about conspiracy theories. They possess a remarkable resilience against factual correction. People needed to believe that Biggie might still be out there, somewhere. And this photograph gave them permission to do exactly that. The incident demonstrated something profound about how deeply Biggie Smalls had embedded himself into the cultural psyche. 20 years after his murder, a single photograph of a lookalike could still generate worldwide conversation and spark genuine hope among devoted fans. The PBS hacker hoax of 2011. Now let's rewind to 2011, when one of the most audacious and technologically sophisticated Biggie survival claims emerged, not from the shadows of internet forums, but from what appeared to be a legitimate news source. In 2011, the hacktivist collective Anonymous decided to demonstrate just how vulnerable mainstream media systems really were. Their target? The Public Broadcasting Service, PBS. What they did next would spark one of the most memorable moments in the history of hip-hop conspiracy theories. The hackers broke into PBS's website and published a completely fabricated news article claiming that Tupac Shakur was not only alive, but had been discovered living in a small resort town in New Zealand. But they didn't stop there. The false report went on to claim that Biggie Smalls was there with him, the two former rivals apparently having reconciled their differences and chosen to live out their days together in peaceful obscurity on the other side of the world. For a brief, chaotic moment, this story spread like wildfire. The PBS domain lent an air of legitimacy to the claim that no random social media post could ever hope to achieve. People who might normally dismiss such theories found themselves clicking, reading, and wondering if perhaps, just maybe, there was some truth to it all. Of course, the story was quickly identified as a hoax, a pointed political statement by Anonymous about media security rather than any genuine claim about the rapper's survival. But the damage, in terms of feeding conspiracy appetites, had already been done. The story became embedded in the lore surrounding both Tupac and Biggie's deaths, frequently referenced in discussions about their alleged survival. What made this particular hoax so effective was how it played into existing narratives. The idea that Tupac and Biggie, two men whose feud was blamed for their deaths, might have secretly made peace and escaped together, represented a kind of poetic justice that fans desperately wanted to believe. It transformed a story of senseless violence into one of redemption and brotherhood. New Zealand, with its remote beauty and distance from American media scrutiny, seemed like the perfect hiding place. The theory suggested both men had grown weary of the spotlight, the violence, and the constant danger that came with their fame. Together, they had found peace. It was, of course, completely fiction, but the fact that it spread so rapidly demonstrated the enduring power of hope in the face of tragedy. the alleged 2010 Eminem concert sighting. Moving along our timeline of alleged sightings, we arrive at another frequently discussed moment, the purported appearance of Biggie Smalls at an Eminem concert somewhere around 2010. This particular claim emerged through YouTube videos and social media discussions, suggesting that sharp-eyed concert attendees had spotted a man who bore an unmistakable resemblance to the late rapper somewhere in the massive crowd. The videos were analyzed frame by frame by devoted theorists who believed they had captured definitive proof of Biggie's survival. The setting made a certain kind of sense within the conspiracy framework. Eminem, one of the most successful white rappers in history, had risen to prominence in the years following Biggie's death. If Biggie were somehow still alive and wanted to stay connected to the hip-hop world he loved, attending a major concert by one of the genre's biggest stars while hiding in plain sight among thousands of other fans seemed plausible, at least to those who wanted to believe. Theorists pointed to various details in the footage: the man's size, his apparent age, the way he moved through the crowd. Each observation became evidence in a growing case that Biggie had somehow managed to fake his death and was now living anonymously, occasionally venturing out to witness the evolution of the art form he helped shape. But official investigations and expert analyses consistently dismissed such claims as misidentification, people seeing what they desperately wanted to see rather than what was actually there. Concert footage is notoriously unreliable. Lighting conditions, camera angles, and the natural tendency to recognize patterns can easily lead to false positives. The Eminem concert sighting remained entirely unverified and unsupported by any concrete evidence. No one came forward to confirm they had seen or interacted with someone claiming to be Biggie. No photographs with clear resolution emerged. It remained simply another story in the vast collection of maybe moments that kept the conspiracy alive. What made it persist, however, was the emotional resonance. The image of Biggie quietly enjoying a hip-hop show, anonymous among the fans, free from the violence and pressure that had defined his final years. It was a beautiful fantasy, even if it remained nothing more than that. The global doppelganger phenomenon. Let's zoom out from individual incidents to address something much broader, the worldwide phenomenon of Biggie Smalls' doppelgangers that has persisted for nearly 3 decades since his death. Across the globe, from Jamaica to Greece to the United Kingdom and beyond, fans have continuously shared photographs of individuals who bear varying degrees of resemblance to the legendary rapper. Each new image that surfaces reignites discussions, arguments, and hope among those who refuse to accept that Biggie is truly gone. This phenomenon speaks to something deeper than mere wishful thinking. Biggie possessed a distinctive physical presence, his size, his facial features, his demeanor, that made him immediately recognizable. But that same distinctiveness means that when people encounter someone with similar characteristics, the association is instant and powerful. Social media platforms have amplified this effect exponentially. What might once have been a conversation between friends at a bar can now become international news within hours. A photograph snapped in Lagos, Nigeria, can reach fans in Brooklyn within minutes, each share adding fuel to the conspiracy fire. The geographic diversity of these alleged sightings has itself become part of the mythology. Theorists argue that if Biggie wanted to disappear, he would have chosen somewhere far from New York, perhaps Jamaica, given his Caribbean heritage, or Europe, where he might blend in more easily among communities less familiar with American hip-hop royalty. But here's what gets consistently overlooked in these discussions. In a world of nearly 8 billion people, the existence of individuals who resemble any given person, even someone as distinctive as Biggie, is statistically inevitable. Physical similarity, no matter how striking, is not evidence of survival. Medical records, autopsy reports released in 2012, and eyewitness testimony from those present at the shooting all confirm Biggie's death. His mother, Valletta Wallace, has spoken extensively about losing her son. His children have grown up without their father. The grief experienced by those who knew him personally cannot be dismissed simply because someone somewhere looks like him in a photograph. Yet the doppelganger phenomenon continues, a testament to how deeply Biggie Smalls affected those who loved his music. Every lookalike becomes a possibility. Every photograph becomes potential proof. Every sighting becomes a story worth telling. The cryptic lyrics theory. Now we arrive at something entirely different, a category of evidence that doesn't involve photographs or physical sightings at all. Instead, it centers on Biggie's own words, his lyrics, the art he left behind. Biggie's posthumous album, Life After Death, was released just 16 days after his murder, and its eerie title immediately sparked speculation. The album contained tracks that seemed to foretell his demise with uncanny accuracy. Songs like You're Nobody Till Somebody Kills You appeared prophetic in retrospect, their dark themes taking on new significance in light of his violent end. Conspiracy theorists have spent years poring over these lyrics, searching for hidden messages that might suggest Biggie planned his own disappearance. They argue that an artist as intelligent and self-aware as Biggie wouldn't discuss death so explicitly unless he was planning something, perhaps using the album as a cryptic announcement that he would soon die to the world while actually living on in secret. This approach mirrors similar theories surrounding Tupac Shakur, whose adoption of the Machiavelli alias, inspired by Niccolo Machiavelli, who wrote about the strategic value of faking one's death, has fueled decades of speculation. Some theorists have connected these dots, suggesting both artists embedded clues in their work that only true believers could decode. But experts and music historians offer a simpler explanation. Death was a consistent theme throughout Biggie's artistic career, beginning with his debut album, Ready to Die. This wasn't prediction or planning, it was artistic expression. Biggie grew up in an environment where violence and mortality were constant presences. His music reflected his reality, not some elaborate conspiracy. Furthermore, posthumous hip-hop albums often contain material that seems prophetic simply because artists who live dangerous lives frequently contemplate their own mortality. When someone dies young, any previous discussion of death automatically takes on added weight, yet the lyrical analysis continues among dedicated conspiracy circles. Every line is dissected, every word choice examined for hidden meaning. For believers, Life After Death isn't just an album, it's a roadmap, a confession, a message in a bottle from an artist who wanted the world to know he wasn't really gone. Whether this represents genuine pattern recognition or simply the human mind's tendency to find meaning where none exists remains a matter of perspective. Gene Deal's revelations about ignored warnings. Now we shift gears considerably, moving from speculation into testimony that has been captured on camera from someone who was actually there, Biggie's own bodyguard, Gene Deal. Gene Deal has become one of the most vocal witnesses to the events surrounding Biggie's final days, and his accounts have been extensively documented in video interviews that continue to circulate and spark discussion.
That was in the game. You understand what I'm saying? I had real gangsters.
Deal has spoken at length about how Biggie received multiple death threats during his time in Los Angeles in 1997. According to Deal's testimony, these warnings came from serious individuals with serious connections, not idle threats to be dismissed.
Nobody believed me. Yo, Unique don't with that nigga like that. Unique don't. What Unique do when he came out of jail? What did Unique do? He went on somebody's platform. He said, I called Big Gene, because I knew he would get the information to him.
Perhaps most significantly, Deal has recounted how a kingpin named Unique, affiliated with major drug operations, called from prison specifically to warn Biggie.
This somebody did 26 years in the federal jail as a kingpin, brother. He called me to save Biggs' them life. Tell them niggas not to go nowhere. It's a hit on them. You get this information from a kingpin, brother.
The warnings were explicit. There was an active threat against Biggie's life, and he needed to leave Los Angeles immediately. But according to Deal, Biggie didn't take these threats seriously.
I don't remember nobody saying or picking up a phone and saying that, oh, we got threatened, or somebody threatened again. Anytime I knew Big was being threatened, Big was joking. Yeah, for real? Wow. Yeah, taking it like that.
These revelations are significant not because they support survival theories. They actually do the opposite, painting a picture of a man who underestimated the danger he faced, but because they've been captured on camera and disseminated widely. Each time Deal speaks, his testimony gets clipped, shared, and reinterpreted by various communities, including those who believe the level of threat awareness suggests Biggie might have had time to plan an escape. Deal's accounts also raise questions about the security arrangements that night and why certain decisions were made, adding fuel to broader conspiracy theories about who might have wanted Biggie dead and whether his murder could have been prevented. Greg Kading's on-camera investigation revelations. Let's now examine what remains perhaps the most authoritative on-camera discussion of Biggie's case, the extensive interviews given by retired LAPD detective Greg Kading, who led the task force that reinvestigated both Tupac and Biggie's murders. Kading has been documented extensively discussing his findings, and his testimony has become essential viewing for anyone serious about understanding these cases.
There was a lawsuit being waged against the city by Valetta Wallace and her estate, alleging that there was corruption related to the murder, that either cops were involved directly in the murder or they were covering it up. And so as a result of this lawsuit, they put together a task force of individuals. I was one of those individuals, and we were re-investigating Biggie's murder.
What makes Kading's testimony so significant is his methodology. Unlike conspiracy theorists who work backward from conclusions, Kading emphasizes an evidence-based approach.
And you have to understand the nature of a conspiracy theory. A conspiracy theory starts with a conclusion and then works backwards to find evidence to support the conclusion. In an investigation, in an objective investigation, you start with no conclusions and you just follow the facts and the evidence as you discover them. And so that's the big difference.
Kading's investigation concluded that Biggie was killed by Wardell Poochie Faust, a mob Piru Bloods member allegedly hired by Suge Knight for $13,000 as revenge for Tupac's death. This theory is detailed in Kading's book Murder Rap and the subsequent documentary.
We're telling you definitively this is what took place in these murders. All of the empirical evidence, all of the facts lead you to draw this one and only conclusion. And so we're not competing against theories.
Kading has explained why prosecution has been impossible.
Well, you've got to keep in mind at the chain of events. You know, in 2009, when we get the confessions of the co-conspirators in these murders, at that point in time, the shooters in both murders are already dead. Wardell Faust from the mob Piru, who shot Biggie, and Orlando Anderson from the Southside Crips, who shot and killed Tupac. Those guys are already dead.
These on-camera revelations have been watched millions of times, offering what Kading describes as definitive conclusions rather than theories. For many, his documented testimony represents the closest thing to closure this case may ever see. The Valletta Wallace wrongful death lawsuit documentation. Any discussion of Biggie's case being caught on camera must include the extensive documented proceedings surrounding the legal battle his mother, Valletta Wallace, waged against the city of Los Angeles. In 2002, Valletta Wallace filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the LAPD, initially seeking $400 million, later increased to $500 million, alleging that corrupt police officers were involved in her son's murder and that the department engaged in a systematic cover-up to protect them. The lawsuit drew heavily from the work of retired LAPD detective Russell Poole, who had investigated connections between Death Row Records and officers implicated in the Rampart scandal, a massive corruption probe that exposed dozens of LAPD officers for various crimes including robbery, drug dealing, and maintaining gang affiliations. Poole's theory, extensively documented through court filings and media appearances, alleged that officers David Mack and Rafael Perez had moonlighted as security for Death Row Records and conspired with Suge Knight to assassinate Biggie. The shooter was allegedly Amir Muhammad, a man whose appearance matched the police sketch of the suspect. These court proceedings generated thousands of pages of documented testimony and were covered extensively by media cameras. Every deposition, every witness statement, every piece of evidence became part of the public record, offering unprecedented insight into the investigation, or lack thereof. The case ended in a 2005 mistrial after new evidence emerged and was ultimately dismissed in 2010 for procedural issues, but the documentation it produced continues to fuel both legitimate investigation and conspiracy theorizing. What's particularly significant is how Valletta Wallace herself spoke about the case. Her public statements expressing frustration with investigators and her belief in a giant conspiracy shielding high-profile figures were captured on camera repeatedly. A grieving mother demanding justice for her son became part of the visual narrative surrounding his death. This documented legal battle represents the institutional side of Biggie being caught on camera after death, not as a living person, but as an unsolved mystery that continued to generate headlines, court appearances, and media coverage for years after his murder. The documentary investigations. The visual documentation of Biggie's case extends far beyond news coverage and court proceedings. Multiple documentary films have attempted to unravel the mystery, each one putting new witnesses, new evidence, and new theories on camera for public consumption. Nick Broomfield's 2002 documentary, Biggie and Tupac, became one of the most influential examinations of both murders. Broomfield interviewed witnesses who implicated Suge Knight and corrupt LAPD officers, presenting a compelling narrative of conspiracy and cover-up that shaped public perception for years. However, However, Broomfield later demonstrated remarkable intellectual honesty by acknowledging errors in his earlier work. In subsequent interviews, in his 2021 documentary, Last Man Standing, Suge Knight and the Murders of Biggie and Tupac, he revisited his conclusions with new evidence and witnesses. Last Man Standing presented new on-camera witnesses, including Leah Steinberg and Xavier Hermosillo, who allegedly placed officers David Mack and Rafael Perez at the murder scene. The film included photographs and testimony suggesting these officers served as Knight's gang-affiliated bodyguards, adding new visual documentation to the conspiracy narrative. The Murder Rap documentary, produced in connection with Greg Kading's investigation, offered a competing on-camera narrative. Where Broomfield's films emphasized police conspiracy, Kading's documentary focused on gang retaliation, presenting witness confessions and investigative conclusions that pointed toward Poochie Faust as the shooter. USA Network's 2018 series Unsolved dramatized the investigations, adding another layer to the visual documentation. While fictional in its recreations, the series drew from actual case files and brought new attention to the unsolved nature of both murders. Each of these documentaries contributes to the broader phenomenon of Biggie being caught on camera after death, not as a living person, but as an enduring mystery that continues to generate new footage, new interviews, and new theories with each passing year. The cumulative effect of this documentary output has been to keep Biggie's case perpetually in the public eye. Each new film generates renewed interest, fresh debate, and occasionally new witnesses willing to speak. The cameras never stop rolling on this story, ensuring that even decades after his death, Biggie Smalls remains a constant presence in hip-hop discourse. The social media era of perpetual speculation. Finally, we arrive at the present day, where social media platforms have transformed how Biggie's legacy and the mysteries surrounding his death are discussed, shared, and perpetuated. Every year, particularly around March 9th, the anniversary of his death, social media platforms light up with remembrances, tributes, and inevitably, conspiracy theories. Screenshots of alleged sightings circulate. Old photographs are re-examined. Threads analyzing his lyrics for hidden messages gain thousands of retweets. Platforms like X, formerly Twitter, have become hubs for ongoing speculation. Some posts treat the survival theories as jokes, referencing Biggie being in protective custody or living on an island somewhere with Tupac. Others approach the subject with apparent sincerity, sharing whatever evidence they believe supports the idea that the King of New York never really died. YouTube has proven particularly significant, hosting not just the documentary content we discussed earlier, but countless fan-made videos analyzing every aspect of the case. Some channels have built substantial followings by regularly posting content about Biggie's death, keeping the conversation and the conspiracy theories perpetually alive. The interview clips from Gene Deal, Greg Kading, and others get continuously clipped and reshared, each one generating new comment sections where believers and skeptics argue their positions. Every clip becomes potential evidence for someone, somewhere. Reddit communities dedicated to hip-hop history, true crime, and conspiracy theories maintain active discussions about both Tupac and Biggie's deaths. Detailed timelines are constructed, evidence is analyzed, new theories are proposed. The crowdsourced investigation never ends. What's remarkable is how this digital documentation has created a kind of eternal present for Biggie's case. Unlike cold cases from earlier eras that might fade from public memory, the continuous content generation ensures that new generations of fans encounter the mystery and add their own voices to the conversation. Recent developments, like the 2023 arrest of Dwayne Keefe D. Davis for Tupac's murder, have sparked renewed interest in Biggie's case as well. Social media exploded with speculation about whether similar breakthroughs might come, whether the cases were connected, and what new information might emerge. In this sense, Biggie is continuously caught on camera in the digital age, not as a living person, but as an immortal presence in our collective digital conversation, perpetually discussed, perpetually analyzed, perpetually mourned. That brings us to the end of this story. For more interesting videos like this, click on the cards on your screen.